Hello and welcome to another installment of the Pug's Thoughts in the Doghouse. I'm Pug, and here's what I'm thinking. This time we're representing the Seattle Storm, who won the 2010 WNBA Championship in Seattle, which makes them the most successful team in Seattle this year, unless the Seahawks pull a miracle and win the Super Bowl. Even I don't think that's going to happen, even though I want it to happen. And this leads me to what we're going to talk about this time around. We're going to have kind of a year in review, but mostly to look toward 2011 and some New Year's resolutions. Now, before I started posting videos up on YouTube, I had a blog, which you can view on Blogspot. It's actually cwupulsepug.blogspot.com. I'll say that again, cwupulsepug.blogspot.com. And then I slowly but surely went toward posting videos instead. But this post is still up there if you want to check it out, and this is, I'm going to go through the New Year's resolutions I gave to Seattle teams throughout the 2010 season. We're going to start, we're going to go through each team in the order of the season that they play in throughout the calendar year. So, we start with Washington Husky men's basketball. Now, this is what I wrote before. I'm more of a college football fan than college basketball, which is true. So I'll say this before I say something silly and have a diehard Husky fan chew my head off. Go further in the Pac-10 tournament and further in the NCAA tournament. We got to the semifinal round of the Pac-10 and the second round in March Madness. So go one round further in both tournaments and I'll be happy. And that's exactly what happened. The team last year was really streaky from what I read and saw throughout their postseason run, but it was a great run. The Huskies ended up winning the Pac-10 tournament and getting to the Sweet 16. So this year's 2011, your New Year's resolution, Washington Huskies men's basketball team, is get to the Elite Eight. I don't care how you get there, whether it's a general round or if you win the Pac-10 tournament or the conference championship. It's all good as long as you win the you get to the Elite Eight. The Huskies normally, throughout my lifetime, have struggled in the Sweet 16. So in that regard, it also would kind of be cool to see them in the Elite Eight. Okay, next up, we have the Seattle Sounders FC. I wrote last year, get rid of ties and win a playoff series. It's surprising that this is the expectations for the Sounders because they've only been around 1 year. The Sounders had 11 ties last season, and that was the difference in seeding when the Sounders play the Houston Dynamo in the playoffs. Turn those ties into wins, and the Sounders will have a better seed, and it will help their second resolution, which is win a postseason round. These resolutions will help the Sounders continue to build a fan base and tradition in Seattle. Well, not so much getting rid of ties. It was a really bizarre year for the Sounders. I mean, they were looked at one of the top teams in the Western Conference of the MLS, and then they just kind of went downhill. They had pretty much a terrible third of the season. And then they picked it up. They were the hottest team going into the playoffs, and they ended up losing to the Los Angeles Galaxy. But either way, they made the playoffs for the second year in a row, which is good. It shows their first year wasn't a fluke. But they didn't win a playoff series, so there's a little disappointment there. So, your resolution this year, Seattle Sounders, be consistent, which was very, very difficult this last year, and once again, win that postseason series, get to the second round of the MLS playoffs. Up next, oh, you guys are going to love this, the Seattle Mariners. This will be fun. All right, I had written blogs about the Mariners, entries on my blog about the Mariners before I wrote this, so long story short, I had their expectations and their resolutions winning 86 games and competing and possibly contending for the playoffs. And then I wrote this. However, there is one resolution that is under the radar that will rise to the surface as the year goes on. Show Felix Hernandez, Cliff Lee, and Ichiro Suzuki that the team is capable of winning a World Series championship. If the Mariners do not win this year, Felix and Ichiro might look at other options because they want a ring. Leave will leave for sure. So prove to your big stars you can win. Now, I wrote this before Felix Hernandez signed his contract extension, and the Mariners did not show to their big stars that they can win. And we don't even have Cliff Lee anymore, and we weren't even close to 86 wins. Biggest disappointment in Seattle sports this year, the Seattle Mariners. Absolutely disgusting. Failure. Give them an F on the year. And still to this day, and it doesn't matter if the Seahawks miss the playoffs, the saddest thing in Seattle this year is the Mariners being forced to trade Cliff Lee because we knew he wasn't going to re-sign with us. That is without a doubt the saddest thing that will happen. Regardless if the Huskies win a bowl, the Holiday Bowl, or the Seahawks make the playoffs, doesn't matter. The fact that we had Cliff Lee, we couldn't keep him, is terrible. So looking at next year, we're back to the original plan B, and that is establish your winning ball club. 82 wins is, to me, enough wins to show that you are a winning ball club. It takes away the fact that you won and lost 81 games apiece. It takes away the debate if you are a winning or losing ball club if you finish with that record. So, Seattle Mariners, try to be competitive next year. Really? I mean, seriously. I mean, we'll go over off-season moves later on, but come on. Last year, they're my team. They're my team. And just go through that another 101-loss season last year after doing it in 2008. Ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous and very heartbreaking and very torturous. So Seattle Mariners, be competitive. Go after 82 wins, although I really don't think that's going to happen. Now, next up, we have the Seattle Storm. It's simple for the Storm. Keep Lauren Jackson healthy, find a replacement, and win a playoff series. For the love of the game, the Seattle Storm is overdue for a deep playoff run. They are a great regular season team, and Key Arena is one of the most hostile environments in the WNBA. The Storm can and probably will clinch a playoff berth. The question is, will Lauren Jackson get hurt at the end of the year, and can they win a playoffs? Can they win in the playoffs? Also, it's time to start looking for Jackson's replacement. I have a feeling if the Storm win another championship, she will retire. Well, they definitely met all their resolutions except for one. They kept Lauren Jackson healthy. She stayed healthy. Thank you, Lauren. And you not only won a playoff series, you won the whole thing. You gave Seattle its fourth professional championship. You joined the 2004 Storm, the 1979 Seattle Supersonics, and the 1917 Seattle Metropolitans, who won the Stanley Cup. All right. As far as finding a replacement, she's still on the roster, so I'm taking it she's showing no signs of retiring anytime soon. But we still need to find that person that's going to come in and be that dominant post, because once Lauren Jackson leaves, Sue Bird can only do so much. Granted, Sue Bird's a great passer, great scorer, but she sets up the plays, and then Lauren Jackson finishes off the plays. So, that being said, you got to find another person to fill that post game if Lauren Jackson gets hurt or does retire, either after the 2011 or whenever she finishes her career. Because she is getting old. She is getting old. So, but overall, most successful sports team in Seattle. Once again, that's the reason why I'm repping the jersey. Your 2010 WNBA champion, Seattle Storm. Your New Year's resolution? Frankly, do it again. I mean, you're the ones that set the expectations. So, your New Year's resolution, once again, keep Lauren Jackson healthy, find a replacement, and repeat as WNBA champions. So that is the New Year's resolution for the Seattle Storm. The Washington Husky football team. Win 6 games, and Jake Locker must continue to mature. Husky fans want to see progress. The Huskies won 5 games last year being 2009. This means 6 wins will be satisfying. It will also throw the Huskies into bowl contention. I think fans don't care if it's the Rose Bowl or the where the heck is this game being played and who is sponsoring it.com bowl. Any bowl will be fine. Locker must continue to excel. You had one poor year, you had an injury year, and a good year. Now it's time for a great year. I will give you my overall thoughts on Jake Locker and the Washington Huskies after they play Nebraska in the Holiday Bowl. But as far as winning 6 games and Locker maturing and being thrown into bowl contention, I said that they've had a pretty successful season. Once again, we'll go over more of that later on because people want to hear my final take on the Jake Locker era. But that's another entry. We'll definitely get to that. Finally, the Seattle Seahawks. First off, had to rebuild. And the rebuilding process has already started. But number one, I wanted the Seahawks to find their identity. And this is something the team struggled big time in 2009. It will start, I wrote this before the new general manager was hired, John Snyder. It will start with the new general manager and other positions on and off the field. I want people to say, those are the Seahawks. Then, what's the team in the Northwest again? Well, as far as rebuilding, like I said before, I said that the Seahawks are showing some improvements. There are still some things that they need to work out, and but they have won 6 games, so that's some progression in that sense. That we won 5 games in 2009. We won 6 games this year. This is being filmed before they take on the Falcons, so we'll see how it goes. But as far as finding the identity of the team, really don't sense that, because there's a lot of turnover. Pete Carroll is still trying to put his system in. We still are looking for a quarterback of the future, because it's only a matter of time when Matt Hasselbeck leaves or goes down with an injury. So, not as far as finding identity, they did not succeed with that. But there was some progression, and we did see some rebuilding this year, which is ultimately what I wanted to see. So, I give the Seahawks, if I was to give a grade, I give it a C. For 2010. If they make the playoffs, well, that may boost up the grade. We'll see how it goes. Overall, this year, I thought it was a much better year than it was 2 years ago. Seattle fans had some things to cheer about compared to 2008, where we pretty much had nothing except for the Seattle Storm to cheer about. They were the only team that had a winning season that year. And then, as far as 2011 goes, I think we'll see a little bit more disappointment, because expectations are a little higher now. I would like to see the Washington Husky men's basketball team go to at least the Elite Eight in the March Madness tournament. The Seattle Mariners, I don't know how in the world they're going to pull off 82 wins, but that's my expectations for the team. The Seattle Sounders winning in the playoffs, that's pretty hard. Seattle Storm defending their championship. So it's going to be very, very hard for. It could be a little bit disappointing, compared to 2010. But this year, we saw lots of progression. Seattle sports is slowly but surely recovering from 2008, and that's great to see. And so it wasn't an outstanding year like Boston or New York, or even LA, or any place that won a championship this year, or San Francisco. So it wasn't a fantastic year, but it was a good year overall. We saw improvement, and Seattle sports teams made things interesting. So let's hope that continues here in 2011. That'll do it for this week. That will do it for this time here on the Puck's Thoughts in the Doghouse. Check back for more entries here on YouTube. Thank you very much for watching.